Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Punching Left. I'm your host, AJ Wilms, joined here with Mike Lauber and two very special guests. Gentlemen, why don't you introduce yourselves to the audience?
Yeah, I'm Clay Clark. I'm a father of five, and I own different businesses, and I'm the host of the Reawaken America Tour. And to my right, this is Dr. Robert Zellner, who is an optometrist turned guy who invested in a very successful bank, turned the founder of the most successful auto auction in Oklahoma, turned investor in a medical clinic, turned investor in a durable medical equipment company, turned aspiring rapper / actor.
Yeah. I was waiting for his first
like
album to drop.
Rap for us right now.
Yeah, and I'm right here. I can actually introduce myself. You always sell yourself down and try to pump me up. I don't know why. I mean, I guess he's like my hype man. So I've got my own hype man.
Yeah, I'm a hype man for Dr. Zellner.
Yeah, which is nice. Which is nice.
And it looks like there's another guest behind your head. Is that Jesus? A cardboard cutout of Jesus behind you?
I have a cardboard cutout of Jesus as a reminder to myself that he's everywhere. I have 3 cardboard cutout Jesuses in my office, and I would like to get a total of 10 cardboard Jesuses in my office, because every time that I look and I don't see a Jesus, that's probably me taking my eye off the ball right now. I really do believe it. I mean this so sincerely. If you'd have asked me 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 10 years ago, whatever, I would not be talking to you about the Euphrates River drying up. I would not be talking to you about a cryptocurrency that goes inside your body with a patent number W02020060606. I would not be talking to you about HR 666. I would not be talking to you about the Google Chrome logo 666. I would not be talking to you about CERN, their logo 666. I would not be talking to you about the World Economic Forum and their logo 666. I would not be talking about anything that we talk about on the Reawaken America Journal.
Or the statue in front of the UN.
The statue in front of the UN fulfills Revelation 13:2. I mean, I could go, and I would not be talking about these things. And with the tour that we're doing, this Reawaken America tour, I'll just tell people this. Every time I do one of these, it costs between $250,000 and $350,000 to do it. And I'll tell you why. Because you have 80 speakers that are going there, and the vast majority of them need help with reimbursements for travel, whatever. So let's just say that you got a speaker that drives in the back of a U-Haul vehicle, which they don't. They usually fly on a plane.
Yeah.
And you reimburse them there and back in hotel, and you at 80 times, there's money there. Mm-hmm. And then when you have to get the security, there's money there. Porta potties, there's money there. And when you see the Great Reset was designed to squeeze middle-class America and to make it very hard for people to feed their families by losing their jobs if they didn't want to take the RNA-modifying nanotechnology shots, and then by killing people with inflation and hyperinflation. And so we let anybody name their price to attend these events. You go to timetofreeamerica.com, timetofreeamerica.com. You can get your tickets there. And the average person is spending, $70 or $80 on a ticket. It's a 2-day event, 80 plus speakers. And you do the math. It's not a mathematically viable option, but it is something that I felt called to do one time. And then General Flynn, I want to give him credit. General Flynn challenged me, and he just said, hey, I really feel like America needs you right now. Could you do another one? And I said, oh, okay. So we did one in Tampa. We had 8,000 people show up, and Pastor Rodney Howard-Browne and other people of General Flynn had said, that was awesome. Could you do one more? And I go, wait a minute. I know what's going on
I'm getting
here.
sucked into this.
So I talked to my wife, and I really do believe that America is at the precipice, the threshold of being over. And I said, we've got 5 kids. Can I do these through November? Because Eric Trump and General Flynn would like to do that. Is that something we agree on as a family? And I love it when I have a wife that lets me make decisions. If we're kind of, the vote is tied 1-1. I like when she lets me be the swing vote. That helps a lot. And my wife loves our country, and she was like, if you feel like this is what God wants you to do, then do it, but stay focused on God. And I go, okay. So that's why we did it. And so here we are. And I just encourage everybody, if you want to see the final 3 events, Rochester, New York, August, September, Washington, Idaho border, October, Pennsylvania. Don't have a venue yet, but that's where we're going.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that Rochester show, we'll jump on this here in a second. Yeah, they tried to cancel that. They tried to go, and what was it? They threatened people that worked there, and then there was a campaign to try to get you to shut down the event.
Well, okay. And I'll answer that, then I want to flip it over to Z. So when Z kept his auto auction open during the lockdowns, his optometry clinic, his other businesses, he took some heat. I took some heat. So we're kind of used to that at this point. But the way I have to do is every time I book a location, And I used to organize, I know it seems crazy, but I used to do 4,000 corporate or wedding events a year. And when you do that, you always want to have a plan A and a plan B and a plan C for everything. So you have one mic, for the bride and the groom to wear. And then you want to have a backup mic in case that mic stops working, and a backup for that one in case that stops working. So venues, I want to have the venue that I think would be a good fit, and at least 5 venues that say that I agree with, that they agree with the Reawaken America Tour. I agree with them. It's a good venue, audio, visual, whatever. I want to find at least 5. Mm-hmm. And in Tulsa, I had to use, I think, Aaron, you can kind of yell at us. I think we had to go through, maybe 4 venues.
Yeah.
Wow, really?
In Tulsa for the first one.
Wow.
I didn't make it public. I just had churches that told me you could bring your event to our church if you want to do it. And then I started and I announced it, and then they bailed.
Yep.
4 times.
Bailout. Yep.
So Rhema Bible College stood up. And then when we went out to Tampa, Pastor Rodney Howard Brown was solid. He didn't, capitulate. That was great. But he was the first pastor in America arrested for keeping his church open. Yes. Then we went to Pastor Phil Hotzenpiller. Just great to work with Pastor Phil Hotzenpiller of Influence Church. Then Bernadette Smith called me, a Rhema graduate, and she said, you got to bring this up to Michigan. And we went through 2 venues to find the one.
Two in Michigan, yep.
Yeah, and then we went to Colorado, where that pastor was 100% solid. He wouldn't capitulate. He didn't mind the threats. I can't remember where we went next, but it seemed like each venue we've done after that. Oregon, we had to go through multiple venues. Oregon was crazy. So we ended up having to build a massive tent to make it happen. But see, you just can't capitulate.
You can't give up, and you can't let them cancel you. Everybody's so, everybody right now, someone look at you wrong and is like, I'm sorry. Oh my God. I canceled. And I love guys that have, tons of money, tons of whatever. Like I saw the Kid Rock interview on Tucker the other day, and he goes, I can't be canceled. And everybody has to have that attitude. I can't be canceled. Just because you say something doesn't mean it changes anything about my life or anything about what I'm going to do. So, that fear mongering and that canceling are 2 things, very powerful things that people just kind of shrivel up to. We see it all the time.
I see it all the time. We do it. You see it all the time, and it's unfortunate, but and I'll just remind people a couple things. You can't take it with you. Yeah. You can't take money you've accumulated with you into heaven or hell. You can't do it. Second is, if we lose our freedom, that was pretty dumb.
Well, this is with cancel culture, exactly right. You can only be canceled if you allow yourself to be canceled. Like, you can be thrown off a platform, and yes, maybe you lose access to Facebook or Twitter or whatever. But if you're willing to stay out there and work through alt tech and just keep delivering your message, you will bounce back. You will recover.
I am on TikTok account number 22. You just got to keep making them.
Yeah, AJ's an expert at that. Yeah.
There's a show that I was on. And I'm not going to attack there, but there's multiple shows I've been on, but this is just an example of how weak many conservatives have been, and I believe they're waking up. Yeah. But see, someone calls me and they go, could you be on my show? I said, yeah. And their show's known for fighting against censorship. This is a conservative.
Yeah.
So I go on, this has happened multiple times. So I go on their show, and then people call me and go, your show got deleted.
Wow.
So I called the conservative host. This has happened multiple times. This isn't 1 time. This isn't 2 times. This isn't 3. This is like dozens.
Yeah.
So I call. It's a big show, still huge on YouTube, by the way. And I call the guy, and I'm like, "Why'd you take me off of YouTube?" He's like, "It's controversial, man." And I go, "This was," and I had to re-air it because, but this is true. And this was a year and a half ago. You see, I've been talking about this stuff, and all I said was on the shows. I said, "Listen, the models that said the 2.2 million Americans would die from COVID, those are false. The PCR tests are falsely calibrated to inflate the cases. The polymerase chain reaction tests. COVID-19 is 100% treatable with budesonide, ivermectin, hydroxychloroquine, remdesivir, and midazolam. Those are the COVID-19 protocols from the CDC. Remdesivir is a drug patented by George Soros in China that causes renal failure. Midazolam is a breath suppressant. Mm-hmm. And COVID-19 stands for Certificate of Vaccination, IDAI. And in those shots is RNA modifying nanotechnology. I was driving home yesterday with my wife, and Mike Adams did a report on what's inside the shots. And my wife goes, "You were right." And I'm like, "Yeah, I know."
Yeah, they don't hide it.
They don't. No. But the thing is that the show said it was too hot, so I had to take it down.
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, now I'm calling the guy, and he's going, "Hey, could you be on my show again?" I go, "Absolutely." I don't have time to hold grudges. I don't have time for it. But I just think people have got to get serious.
The way I look at it now is I can't guarantee that YouTube won't nuke this episode, but it'll still be up on Odyssey. It'll still be on Rumble. It'll still be on our other platforms.
Yeah, we're not going to be taking it down. It'll be YouTube that has to take it down.
Yeah.
We also are working on, Zena, we're working on a new platform called Two Cups Connected by a Piece of Yarn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what you do is you get two cups.
And you
connect it.
Yeah, you talk into them.
And if you're in the same room, you can hear each other.
Without them.
Yeah, I can hear you. Go ahead, Niner.
Okay,
Go ahead. Yeah.
Good.
Okay,
right.
Welcome to the Thrive Time Show, Niner.
Thrive Time Show.
Yeah, okay, that's great. Yeah, that's how that would work. And you can use this technology in a quarantine camp in the event we don't save America.
That's why you're taking the cup with you.
Until they take the cups away from you.
Yes, of course.
Yeah. Once they see what you're doing, they can't allow that, social media network of the future.
I'm being serious. When people, if anybody out there wants to go down this path just for a second, okay, if you go to timetofreeamerica.com and you click on the button that says, what is the Great Reset? So let me just give you an example. I'm going to type in a clip 60 here. This is Yuval Noah Harari, clip 60. Good old clip 60. Okay, here we go.
Goodness.
So Yuval, he goes on the New York Times.
Mm-hmm.
And when he's on the New York Times is saying, hey, what's COVID-19 all about? This is Yuval Noah Harari, the top advisor for Klaus Schwab, Obama, Gates, Zuckerberg. He kind of looks like I don't know how to describe. This is him. This is Yuval Noah Harari. Okay.
I love the props. That is great.
This is what he says out loud while being interviewed. The New York Times, the Athens Democracy Forum. If you go to YouTube right now and you type in Athens Democracy Forum, Yuval Noah Harari, you can watch this. This is what he says. Listen to this.
Maybe in a couple of decades, when people look back, the thing they will remember from the COVID crisis is this is the moment when everything went digital. And if this was the moment when everything became monitored, that we agreed to be surveyed all the time, not just in authoritarian regimes, but even in democracies. And maybe most importantly at all, this was the moment when surveillance started going under the skin.
He said it out loud. And then you have, this is Klaus Schwab. See, this guy's father was very close with Adolf Hitler. He was born in 1938. His name is Klaus Schwab. And Charlie Rose says, hey, what is your fourth industrial revolution all about? And he says this.
Yeah.
Exactly. I'm opening a whole new horizon.
Get ready for it.
Medical science.
And you see, the difference of this fourth industrial revolution is it doesn't change what you are doing. It changes you. If you take a genetic editing,
right,
just as an example, it's you who are changed. And of course, this has a big impact on your identity.
See, what did he just say?
Yeah, we're going to genetically modify humans.
He just said it.
Yeah.
I mean,
they see us like plants. They see us like animals. They want to turn us into robots. That's how they see us, just as property that they can use and slave. And they want to genetically modify us so that they can get us closer to that point.
Yeah, they want to become God. They want to create a new life form, and that is genetically altered humans to, like you said, to do their bidding.
And they have no problem about, Yuval was asked, this is crazy. In 2016, there was a documentary made about Yuval Noah Harari. Okay. And if anybody wants to see this documentary, in my opinion, you need to see it because it's so shocking. Yeah. But it's on the V Pro channel on YouTube, V Pro. Okay. And it's called Humans, Gods, and Technology. It's a documentary. And they're asking him, what do you see as the future of the world? Listen to what he says.
Historian Yuval Harari has developed his vision of the future by studying the past. His Israeli roots are of crucial importance to the formation of his view of the future. He's now using all of that knowledge to give us his vision for the future.
With especially the rise of brain-computer interfaces and biometric sensors and so forth, it is very likely that within, say, 50 years, people will literally be part of a network. All the bodies, all the brains would be connected together to a network, and you won't be able to survive if you're disconnected from the net, because your own body parts, your own immune system, perhaps depends on being constantly connected to the colony, to the network.
See, is there anything concerning about what he just said?
Now, what could go wrong with that?
Yeah,
It
is
seems
that
like a
called
great
internet
idea.
bodies? I've seen that video before. It's extremely important, and I'd encourage everyone to watch it. What was the name of that video again? You said you can find it on YouTube.
Yeah, we're
YouTube. The V Pro is the documentary channel. V Pro documentary. It's called Humans, Gods, and Technology. And then also, you've all know Harari. He wants to introduce a new time period, okay?
Yes.
Called the Anthropocene. Anthropocene, like anthro, like human-controlled gene. And the Anthropocene, they're saying in the documentary that because most people will probably not survive the Anthropocene.
That's a little concerning.
That Bill Gates and Rockefeller have developed a seed vault where they are storing up the seeds. Listen to this. I can't make this up. This is called the Anthropocene, the age of mankind. It's promoted by the World Economic Forum.
Yeah,
and
we'll include links to this in the video description.
Around 10,000 different types of seeds are kept at low temperature to prevent plant species that are important for our food supply from disappearing forever.
Here it goes. Get ready for it.
It safeguards our planet's biodiversity.
Here it goes. Get ready.
These seeds will survive the Anthropocene.
Whoa! He talks about wanting to change the times. He wants to change the laws. I don't know if people know this. He wants to change the laws now.
Yeah.
He's openly said that you should no longer be able to be arrested for actions that you commit, but for thoughts you have. Listen to this.
It will demand a lot of changes in many fields. The most obvious is the legal field. The idea that we punish people for making bad choices, that should be out.
Yeah, and
he wants to change the laws.
And if his voice sounds familiar to some members of our audience, we have him in our hold screen that we use before we go live every time we do live feeds. We have several quotes from this guy because they're so shocking, because he's telling you the plan openly.
It's right in front of us.
Exactly, but it gets ignored.
He doesn't care. And this is what people need to understand. People need to understand this idea. I'm going to try to just drop a lot of knowledge bombs here. I cite all my sources, but I'm going to go into like a rapid fire machine gun just truth hammer. And I want to be very clear.
Perfect.
Okay. So knowledge bomb number 1, the Euphrates River is drying up. Okay. That's Revelation chapter 16:12. Revelation 16:12. The Euphrates River is drying up. We should be concerned about that. Knowledge bomb number 2. Biden signed a 2-state Jerusalem declaration 666 days after Trump signed the Abraham Accords. If you don't believe me, go to Rumble right now, rumble.com, and search for 666. You can watch it yourself. Rumble.com, go to type in 666, you'll see it. Or Revelation chapter 13, verse 16 through 18. It tells you to look out for the number 666. You know, number 3, the CERN logo is 666. CERN is literally located on top of the former Roman Temple of Apollo. What? The former Temple of Apollyon. Revelation 9:11, okay? These guys are literally trying to recreate the Big Bang, try to isolate the God particle. Stephen Hawking said you shouldn't be doing this research at CERN or it could cause the end of humanity. Read Revelation 9:11. 4, the World Economic Forum, their logo is 666. See, you're a branding guy. If somebody went to drzellner.com and they go, Clay, what's the Z mean? I say, well, that's Dr. Zellner's name, and he's had that logo. How long have you had that logo?
30 years.
Yeah, I'm like, the guy's had the logo for 30 years. And they go, what does it mean? I'm like, it means his name is Zellner. And his name is Dr.
And he
Z.
loved the movie Zorro growing up. That's why he tries
and
to put it
on there.
everywhere.
Now, see, imagine that. Let's kind of role play this scenario, okay?
Okay.
Imagine that you were, mentoring a young business guy, okay?
Okay.
Dr. Zellner, can you come in here, sir? I want to show you something.
Yeah, sure. What do you need?
Well, I was working on this logo here,
Yeah,
okay? Now, the way I look at it,
All
look
right.
on this thing called CERN. It's my name and my brand.
Okay.
What we're trying to do is recreate, we call it the God particle.
Okay.
Recreate
That's
the
kind of
Big Bang.
weird, but okay.
And the logo we've decided to go with has 3 sixes in together. 666. Now, what do you think?
I tell you what, we're making off, you can't refuse. I mean, it's right out in front of your face.
Saying it.
It's just right there in your face. I mean, what?
Now, another example. This will blow someone's mind. I want someone to look into the name, the origin of the name. Look it up tonight. Nimrod.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? Nimrod was trying to build a tower to Babel, and then God confused the languages. That's Nimrod.
Yes.
So Nimrod, okay, this is going to blow someone's mind, okay? Nimrod, languages are confused. He can't finish the Tower of Babel. So CERN was created. In 1989, CERN created a universal language so they could all work together to create CERN and other things. the language is called the internet, and they named it www, and in Hebrew, W is 6. So www is 666. Did you know that the word corona is 666? I mean, come on.
Oh, there we go.
The word corona is 666. I mean, everything's 666. I mean, the Google Chrome logo is 666. Congress is working on legislation called HR 666. Microsoft has a patent called W02020060606. Congress is also working on the legislation called HR 666, which would criminalize thought crime. Meanwhile, knowledge bomb number 11, Putin is meeting right now with Iran and Turkey to agree on their military plans moving forward, which would fulfill Ezekiel chapter 38, 1-6. I mean, the Pope, his audience hall was finished to look like a snake head. See if I've shown you the Pope's snake head building?
No, I've actually.
Oh, dude, look at this. Look at this. 1971.
Yeah.
Pope. This is crazy. Pope. It's so crazy. Snake head building. Okay. This is how
I think I've seen this.
This is the audience hall. And look at the artwork inside it.
Yeah.
Look at the symbology everywhere. Just come on. What do you really? I mean, could you imagine working for the Pope and you're like, Pope, it appears like this building you're having me construct seems a lot like a snake head.
Yeah.
The Pope says, well, my child, it is a snake head. Why? Well, I'm sure. I mean, what? I mean, come on. So in 1971, everyone needs to know this, more knowledge bombs. In 1971, the World Economic Forum was founded by Klaus Schwab per the recommendation of Henry Kissinger.
Yes.
Did you know in 1971, America got off the gold standard? Richard Nixon did per the recommendation of Henry Kissinger. What? Did you know in 1971, America began systemically sacrificing babies to Baal, a.k.a. abortion? You know, 1971, Rules for Radicals was written and dedicated to Lucifer.
Yes.
I mean, I could go on and on. You know, Dark Side, the comic series, was written in 1971, which prophesied all this. Dark Side, DARKSEID. There's so much. It's just there, and it's like you have to want to not to see it. But we continue. Did you know that Yuval Noah Harari wants to change the times? Of course you did, because you were taking notes. It's called the Anthropocene. You know, Revelation chapter 17, verse 13 says they will have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. You know, Yuval Noah Harari, he just said out loud that he wants to connect everyone's brain to each other. Listen to this. This is Yuval explaining this.
And, once you can connect directly brains and computers, you can, the idea that your entire body must be in the same place at the same time. My hands must be connected to my body in order to function. This is true of organic hands. It's not true of bionic hands. I can sit here and do this talk show and wash dishes at home at the same time because my brain can be connected to my bionic hands anywhere. A good two-way communication system, direct communication system between brains and computers, this is kind of the watershed moment. Once you have a good two-way, nobody has any idea what happens after that.
Yeah, what could go wrong?
If you have a good two-way communication system directly between brains and computers, it also means you can connect several brains together to create an inter-brain net.
See, it's like this guy's been reading like 2 Thessalonians chapter 2, and he's like, yeah, let's do that. Let me play the final clip, okay? Matthew chapter 24, verse 37 through 39. It says, for as in the days of Noah that were before the flood, they were eating and drinking and marrying and giving in marriage until the day that Noah entered into the ark and knew not until the flood came and took them all away. So shall also be the coming of the Son of Man be. See, I'm going to play this audio clip. You've all sitting down with some young lady. I don't know what this interview is all about. He's sitting down there. She's saying, so how does it all end? And he says this out loud.
You have a small elite that pushes things in its own interests, even if it doesn't benefit the vast majority of the population. This has happened so many times previously in history, and it's probably going to happen again. One of the biggest dangers to the planet today is this technological utopia, because probably for the elite, it will work. If bad comes to worse, then when the flood comes, the scientists will build a Noah's Ark for the elite, leaving the rest to drown, the rest of the people and the rest of the ecosystem. Yeah. But they are likely to be able to construct this technological Noah's Ark, which is probably what much of the elite is counting on.
See, anything about that was disturbing for you where you thought, I don't know that I agree with that?
I don't know. Here's my biggest issue.
But we can't. Like, you'd get canceled for saying, like, oh, there's a small group of elite who run America. They don't work in the best interest. They'll be like, no, canceled. Snoop said fact check. That's wrong. But they say it openly all the time.
Yeah.
I've got, I mean, my biggest concern is I just want to make sure I'm elite enough.
Well, I can tell you now, none of us are going to be elite enough. It's just their little insiders club.
I know.
They, and again, this will blow someone's mind. Okay. So Alex Jones, who, by the way, Alex, I've got a chance to meet Alex through this whole process. And Alex is the real deal behind the scenes. I can tell you General Flynn's the real deal behind the scenes. Eric Trump, if there's somebody who I would say is a phenomenal speaker, is Eric Trump, because what Eric does is he listens to the audience. See, it's this weird thing. It's almost like when Prince was in his peak as a performer, he would play a song. Purple rain, a purple rain. And then the crowd, someone in the audience would yell, Prince, I love you. And he's like, I love you too. Purple rain, purple rain. And the audience felt like they were with him, like they were on the same team.
Yeah.
And he'd be like, people in the front, sing with me now. All the middle of the purple rain, a purple rain. And then he would yell out to the crowd, what song do you want me to play?
Oh, yeah.
And the audience would say, I don't know, play like Little Red Corvette or something. He goes, piano or guitar? And they go, huh? Because he would do that.
Oh, we played every instrument.
And they would go, piano. And he would get up there and he would play. Be like, I didn't know he could play like that.
Yeah.
And then he would get out there and he would talk to the audience. Then he would talk to the audience, kind of walk them through. And he's like, now what song do y'all want to hear next? They would say any song. And that guy has like, 800 songs in his album. Yeah. And they're like, they name some obscure song. And he would go, you want the bat dance? And he would go bass, guitar, drum. What do you want to go? Drums. And he's the best at everything. And that's like how Eric is as a speaker. He gets up there and he's connected to his father. He wants to save the country. He's plugged in, but he's not too big of a deal for the lady in the front row or the guy in the back. He shakes everybody's hand. He's just a great guy. And Alex Jones is that way. And Alex, he did a story yesterday. He's on Steve Bannon. Mm-hmm. And by the way, Steve Bannon refused to capitulate to the woke mob because he had executive privilege, but yet that doesn't matter in our current culture, prosecuted anyway. Right. And Steve Bannon, also a great guy behind the scenes. But listen to what Alex Jones. Alex decided to go ahead and download the document for Biden's climate emergency powers under the climate emergency that he's declaring. Listen to this. Let me crank it up.
Baby.
One second here.
Not when you read page 4, baby, you know you're not in Kansas anymore, and you're sure as hell not in the free planet. Stop all oil and gas drilling. Stop all energy exports. That alone will put us into a depression, the likes of which you've never seen. The climate president's emergency powers. That's the front page of this. His emergency powers. We're in a climate emergency, and all the old executive orders and all the martial law preparation that we warned you about is cited in here and cited in the new NDAA legislation they tried to pass last year as well. They're trying to pass this year to make the presidency a dictatorship with total domestic control. When you go to page 4 of this, in the executive summary, overhead shot, halt crude oil exports.
See, they're just saying it. Just right there.
It's the quiet part out loud, but it still doesn't get reported.
He did.
I mean, is anybody shocked? Is anybody surprised? I'm not. I mean, he said on the campaign trail, he said, you're darn right I'm going to take your fuel from you. I'm going to throw those executives in jail even. I mean, he went.
It's so wild because Trump said, he goes, I remember Trump did what talk, and I don't remember which talk it was. Trump also does a phenomenal job of reading the crowd and communicating. Does a great job. But I remember he did one talk and he said, do you guys want me back in office? This is when he was doing, he was in Wisconsin. He says, do you guys want me back? And the crowd was going crazy. And he goes, well, if I don't get in, gas could be $5 a gallon. And the crowd's like, whoa. And he's like, actually, it could be $7. And woo, the crowd's like, boo. He's like, actually, some would say as high as 10. And the crowd's going crazy. Like, and that would be half as high as when he just keeps doing it, because literally at the current price that they're buying oil at, the current price that oil is being bought and sold at, you understand that Putin just declared to the universe, he said, I am not going to sell my real oil to you anymore in exchange for your fake dollars. Says, I don't want your fiat currency anymore. I want real gold or silver in exchange for my oil. So once he stops selling oil to fiat countries and America is no longer the world's reserve currency, it would be $10 a gallon, $20. So I mean, it just we're headed right there. I don't know what percentage of people are awake. I don't know. Z, do you think it's?
Well, you know, I think we're running a little bit short on time here. I know you guys are extremely busy with all the stuff you're doing, but I do want to ask you one final question. If you had one message to Americans how to save this country, what would it be?
It's the Great Reset versus the Great Reawakening. So first step, what you want to do right now, go to timetofreeamerica.com, download the book for free, The Great Reawakening versus the Great Reset. Get educated. Second, you can watch the documentary for free at timetofreeamerica.com. 3, come out to one of our events. When you come out to the event, you're going to know the truth about election fraud, medical fraud, religious fraud, but it's the Great Reawakening versus the Great Reset. And I know that God has given you time, treasure, and talent to help save this nation in some capacity. Some have more time, some have more treasure, some have more talent, some have all three, whatever. But God needs you. I need you. We need you. I'm begging you. I'm pleading with you. Get involved. And it all starts. Go to timetofreeamerica.com to get the truth.
God bless you guys. Thank you very much for joining us.
Yeah, thanks
God bless
again.
you guys.
See ya.
And we'll have all the links on our description for the audience. Thanks again for joining us, guys, and we're right behind you.
Appreciate it. Bye.